Good night, everyone. So I took the time to prepare more electrolysis or galvanized or how should I call it? I mean, Nero juice. I mean, made out of semen. A couple of like 3 or 4 samples that were kept in the freezer, and so I added like this time some of the material that was already like in those buckets and the small buckets, and also some. I mean, this time I just added the purified water and did the electrolysis stuff, and then I just I mean, although there is like it's like in a ritual way, as you see. Later I'll explain the meaning of this ritual. I don't want to waste time. Anyway, so then after some time I placed everything inside the box, like where I keep everything, because now I understand that I mean they are the neurons, I mean, are vulnerable to, at least I mean when they are young, to radiation, and they are bombarded by radiation by the Israelis, and then later I will explain how and how exactly, and because this is related to the current video, which will, I mean, in which I will speak about the torture, the physical torture that I'm subjected to, not only me, of course, that the slaves are subjected to in Israel. So I placed it in the metal box, and I also prepared like a new cover from clay to the metal box, so it will be. I mean, actually, the ground already, I mean, is pellet with clay, but now, I mean, it's like also, I mean, from above and from below, it's all covered with clay, so it will be more durable. I mean, the clay and the metal layers should protect it from radiation. It becomes really stinky inside, like really it smells horrible, like stink because of all sorts of like reactions with metallic things that I placed in there, and so it's not no longer something that is like very, I mean, nice to be in the vicinity of, like the Nero juice that is kept in the box, I mean, with metals and what sort of like chemicals. I mean, not something, I mean, or mostly, I mean, things from home, like iodine and alcohol. But after some times in this box, like a sealed box, it's getting really stinky. But I mean, I think it's worth. I mean, potentially it was a ton of money. So I mean, and there is so much to learn from it. So I mean, we shouldn't be picky about how it smells. But it smells bad. I would say that, I mean, some people ask me about like showing some stuff under the microscope. I guess related to the to all the latest burning experiments. So yeah, you are completely right. I mean, I haven't used the microscope for quite a while, like maybe a week or so, and there is a ton of stuff to see under the microscope. But I didn't have like no time, and I wasn't like, I was too like occupied. I mean, with, I mean, so much stuff. Like, I mean, I'm going through, and really, I mean, I'm hunted. This is like a situation of like a slave in concentration camp that just want to get out, and it's difficult to me to, I mean, and I try to expand to many like new fields of science, and each one of them is very interesting, and so I didn't like manage to find the time to conduct some experiments with videos, as and like with commentary of stuff under the microscope. So certainly, I mean, it will be very interesting to watch. I mean, for example, the enriched beeswax under the microscope. Of course, we need to like to just prepare very thin thin layer in order for that to be I mean detectable in a backlight microscope like the one that I have, simple one. And it should be also interesting to see, I mean, how it looks after it burns, because we have a lot of material. I mean, most of the wax that I prepared actually, I mean, it's still with me. I mean, after all this burning that you've seen, I mean, it's surprisingly most of it is just, I mean, it just shows how potent, I mean, the stuff is actually. I mean, it's really the Neos are really, I mean, the robots are really, I mean, enriches it in an extremely significant way, because, I mean, I prepared like a batch of like just a single time a batch of I mean after the first like what I call miracle, which was something that was prepared like I mean at a different situation, but after that, when I wanted to purposely, I mean, conducted like experiments with wax, I mean, I've only created only one time I placed like maybe, I don't know, not I mean, I used this pot to melt like maybe 6 or 7 like Neonim, like Neos, like original Neos from the supermarket, which are actually very small. I mean, they're not large at all. Just to show you, this is the size, I mean, of like, each one of them is really small. So I mixed 6 or 7 of those with like maybe 6 or 7 Hanukkah candles, which are also very small, something like this. And I mean, the aim was to create like some kind of a fancy white wax with all sorts of like colorful strains, but in reality it just mixed together to just disgusting gray goo. But okay, we leave it that. Sometimes, I mean, you don't get exactly what you expect. So it wasn't much, really. I mean, it's really not much of like, it's something like that. I mean, less than that. I mean, less than a fist, like, I mean, of wax. And I mean, almost all of it is still with me. I mean, either like in like I kept it like in aluminum foil, or it's still in the candles that you can see here. Actually, after I mix it with a little bit of the linseed oil, like a spoon or 2 spoons of linseed oil, the enriched linseed oil, and it burned. Actually, it got like very nice color, like color of gold. Maybe it contains some gold inside. Can you watch? Like, is it? It's a really nice color of gold. I'm tempted. I mean, but I mean, still, most of the material is here. Like, a second. And this is like after like a burning, I mean, quite a nice fire that that I created like today, and also another one the day before. And what happened to the camera? It's now like bluish. It's kind of like a bluish background. Weird. So I mean, so it's like after 3 days that, I mean, I'm reusing the same wax for, I mean, nice fires. I mean, and almost nothing is actually wasted, which is amazing. So it's also, it could be interesting to watch under the microscope. I mean, the wax after it burns. So, I mean, the wax that just showed you with the gold color, probably something that from the linseed oil. I don't know. And it can also be immensely interesting to check. I mean, the Nero juice from the can, which, I mean, it's kind of like an old juice that, I mean, had a lot of time like to sit with itself, and there is like all sorts of like, I mean, and the inside of it there are like tuna cans and like Neros, like, I mean, the empty Neros that, I mean, with like patches of like, I mean, different patches of the stuff like that. I mean, different like muddy puddles, I mean, of this stuff. So it's also very interesting to watch this under the microscope. I guess that, I mean, we will probably, I mean, be able to catch some huge neos like over there, and perhaps it could be very interesting. I assume bigger than we've ever seen until now, which should be very interesting. I remind you that they come in a huge variety of sizes. So, like, I mean, we don't know how small they start or how big they can become potentially. Maybe, I don't know, maybe huge. I don't know. So yes, there is a lot of potential work to be done, like with microscope. I still, I've not completed my research with regards to AC. It's just that I had some limitation with regards to electricity in this house. Like it's a problem because again, it's like the burning issues. Whenever you start to work like with some like serious stuff like burning like really potent fuel, or using high voltage electricity, quickly the home environment doesn't is not enough, and it starts to create shortages, or you're afraid to burn the house, or the apartment. So it's a problem. Working with direct current is also means working with much lower voltage, because it's always, you either use batteries or you use transformers, which significantly reduce the voltage. So we'll see what we can do. I need to be rescued from this hell. This is hell. Israel is hell. Regarding the physical torture, I need to speak about it because it's important. First of all, the most important thing is to speak about sound attacks. So there are many types of sound attacks, and in the first one will actually be like regular sound, but they become very violent when they are compounded by terrible, transgression of your privacy. Now you might think that privacy is something that is more psychological than physical, but the way that the Israelis, violate your privacy is in the physical level. It's so horrible, and it's like it hurts you in the physical level. Like you are always watched, like wherever you are, and if you eat something, they make a sound, like inside your apartment, whatever your apartment is. If you like just hang down to take something from the ground, they make a sound, always sound, and it violates your privacy in such a way that it hurts you physically. And it should also be mentioned for anyone that is not aware of it, that for intelligence agencies it's very easy to actually rig your home in a way that many home appliances will create sounds or lights like small changes of sound or light, even if they are not like smartphones. Of course that today with that you have there are so many like smartphones, smart TVs, iPads, etc. So it's very easy to use them for to create sounds and lights, and that just to signify something to you, or to violate your privacy whenever you do something that they think, according to the theories, that warrants the violation of your privacy and transgression of your life. But even things like electric, like water boiler, or or refrigerator, or things like that. If you change the current, like the current in very small way, they create sounds or light, and since it's all mapped, and your house is rigged, your apartment where you are is rigged, so and you always watch, it's very easy to create sound even with like non-smart appliances, like regular stuff that you have in your home. So you are always under this torture. And if there are other people in your home apartment that are also part of the Shabak, like the way that I live now with this Captain Shaul. So lately they don't want me even to masturbate in my room because they don't need to create the stuff, the neros, because I don't know why. Anyway, they don't want it. So if I start to do it, of course, someone is watching in the camera, and Shaul gets like notified. It's terrible to actually even speaking about it and listening to it. It's something that is extremely uncomfortable, but this should be documented. As how, believe me, it's very hard for me even to speak about it, because even as a victim, this is something that is terribly embarrassing. Like I don't want to speak about it, but I should speak about it, because it's true, and it happened to me like on a daily basis, and of course it happened to many other people as well. So even like if you masturbate in your own room, it's not allowed by the Shabak. So the captain starts to like sneeze or to create noises, or to walk very like very loudly. Like behind your closed door, of course, and of course if his phone is video, so the phone creates sounds. So you will know that it's not allowed to actually do it, and it's amazingly cool. You always are under the control, and this variation of privacy is much more than psychological. It's actually it's a cruel physical violence that destroy you, and much of it is intended just to make you insane. But sound effects are something that is actually even wider than that, because they have all sorts of ways to actually create sound effects using, like, again, your phone or your anything that is smart, anything that contains like a computer, but they can create sounds that are subliminal in a way that you will not even notice, but they will wake you up when you sleep, and that's the way that woke me up a lot of time during my sleep and ruin my sleep, and you know that this create ill effect on your mental health, and that's one of their main purposes. Things that they've created, that they've done, especially to me, is that to purposely infect me with diseases. This is something that I assume was done especially on me, and not on every all the victims, because they understood that I'm special. Like, I'm not like the other, like, titans or victims, like Palestinian victims that they have, or any other victims that they have. They understood that I'm special, and that I have resistance to many like diseases. So they just infected me like with many diseases. This is something horrible, but I think it was only done to me, but who knows? Like, it's insane, but it's true. Now, sound effects, again, it can come from like everywhere, from outside, from inside of your apartment, wherever you go, it's always there, and it never leaves you. Now, I should speak about another kind of like violence, which is very important, and this is something that for certain I'm almost certain that it's something that it was, if not invented, at least perfected, like for the controlling of the titans, like the people from Venus, and also myself, because it certainly works very well on. It's a torture that works, very like effectively on us, and I don't know how well it works like on Homo sapienses. Perhaps it doesn't work at all, or maybe even worse. I don't know, but it seems that it's something that was perfected for the slave population, and this is kind of, and what I speak about, like electric attacks and radiation attacks, and I don't know exactly how it works, but the idea is that we are susceptible to electrical attacks, and I don't know exactly how it works. I do know that the idea is like to charge you from remotely, but it devastates you. It like create you. It makes you tired and weak and sleepy, and it's like a way to control you, and it works only when you are not moving. Like, when you sit or when you sleep, and you are in a room where they have this machine that can actually like create a beam on you, that will focus on you, on your head, and will charge you with electrical charge. Now, before people think that, man, that is possible, this is science fiction, so I would say that this is completely not science fiction. It's actually completely it's part of our world. I will mention that during January or February 2018, after my formal divorce, or during the last stages of the formal divorce, I searched for a job. And when I searched for a job, even it's not really a search, because the government, wants me to work. They want me to work in my heritage, so I had no other options, because my mails are monitored by Shabak. But they wanted to hold a show that yes, like 4 or 5 companies that were interested in maybe to hire me. So I went to interviews in 4 or 5 companies, but they were all the companies that were related to Shabak. So they all didn't accept me. But my heritage, they didn't only accept me. They actually offered me 10% more than I asked, which is very which is unusual. And of course I took the job. So that's how they lured me to work exactly where they wanted. So one of the 4 or 5 companies that I interviewed in was a company, I don't remember its name. It was located in Rehovot, in Park Hamadan, Rehovot, and there it was a startup that was in the business of charging a smartphone remotely. They had a device. Actually, they had a working prototype, which I've seen in my own eyes. It looks like. It looks like. Actually, it sits on the top of the room typically, but it doesn't have to. Typically there is the light bulb. Or instead of the light bulb, so it's kind of it replaces the compartment of the light bulb, the light bulb, and so it contains light, but it also sends an invisible ray that can charge stuff. I remember that they had a train, like a toy train. In the lobby, in of the offices, that were indefinitely just ran in circles, and it had. I checked it myself. It had no power, no batteries at all. Only it only had the panel, but there was no. It was in the building, so there was no solar flux. So it was constantly just charged. On its way with using using this machine that they develop, and since it ran on circles, it was very easy for it to follow it. Generally, it's only they explain that it can only follow the device if it sits when it sits down. But they say that most of the time, smartphone just sit on a table or something, so it's very easy for the device to actually lock on it and charge it from remotely. So it's this technology already exists, and I've seen it with I've checked it with my own eyes. I've seen I was interviews in the company that develops it. I'm not saying that this company exactly is the one that developed the torture device, but I just say that the technology of the such torture device exists, and this is fact. It's not science fiction. So, if it seems futuristic to you, it's not. It's something that exists, and the Israelis use it for torturing us, the Venusians or Titans, or I'm not from Venus, but yeah, they don't really care. I'm foreigner, and that's a way to torture you and to make you sleepy and just to limit your abilities to resist to anything that they want to do to you. I should mention that a while ago I realized that when I smoke cigar inside the room, which is not it's not something that is really recommended, especially if you have small children. But nevertheless, when I do it, I don't feel this a text of that I finally I felt it in my apartment. I also feel it in this apartment, this kind of a text that you suddenly become so sleepy and you don't know why, and you just have to sleep. And when I smoke, I don't feel it, and I understood it. It's because the smoke, just, I mean, when you smoke it inside the house, it's like, it makes like, it's more difficult for the ray to actually lock on you. I know that it's all sound very, I mean, extremely like brutal and like futuristic, but it's reality. This is, I mean, this is reality. This is how it is to live, to be one of the slaves in Israel. That's the way it is. You need to understand that. It's not science fiction, and it's not futurism. It's the present in Israel, and these are all technologies that I know that exist, like with my own eyes, like, and they install it in your house, and you can't like avoid it, and yeah, I mean, you need like to smoke, if you want, like inside your own house, if you want like the beam to not be able to lock on you. That's a fact. Now, I know that they have other tortures, physical torture devices that they use inside like normal light bulbs without the technology, but I don't know how it works. Perhaps it uses like wavelengths that are what we, I mean, that they found that we are vulnerable to, and it's just, I mean, in these kind of wavelengths, I mean, they are emitted from the light bulb in addition to the normal like light, I mean, in the visible range. And it probably, I mean, that's my guess, but I don't know exactly how it works. I just know that they have ways to torture with light bulbs that seems to be normal, but they're not. Okay, so it's very difficult for me to speak about it, but I mean, these are things that should be said. There is also like the normal physical violence. I mean, the normal, like, in a way that, I mean, things that are like old school intelligence, like that's very similar to things that the mafia do. Like, I mean, and there is in the lowest level in the Israel. I mean, most of the intelligence is in the lowest level. Intelligence organizations are very similar to the mob, and this is something that I've written about like years ago, because it's evident, and you see it all the time, especially in Israel, where, I mean, most of the when so many people are related to the intelligence community, and most of them are like pieces of shit. So, I mean, you see this mobster like behavior all the time. For example, like replacing, I mean, classical movies to replace your, like, if you take medicine, they replace, when you don't watch, they replace like your pills with pills that look the same, but I mean, poison that, I mean, doing all sorts of stuff to you. This is something, I mean, it's taken, I mean, straight from like mafia movies, and they do it, I mean, a lot in Israel, and there's other things like that as well. That they certainly all do, and it's really difficult for me to even speak about it. So, I mean, I think I'll stop now, but if later, tomorrow or so, I will recall more like special, like physical attacks that are common, I mean, that are commonly used on the victims of the Israeli community, intelligence community. I will create like another video on the subject. So, I mean, that will be all for now. Set me free.